Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Saudi Arabia from April 22nd to 23rd for bilateral talks, trade, energy and defence ties on agenda. India condemns the killing of prominent Hindu leader Bhabesh Chandra Roy in Bangladesh, flags pattern of systematic minority persecution. And Iran and the United States hold second round of high-stakes nuclear talks in Rome, hopes for de-escalation mounted by threats. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Saudi Arabia from April 22nd and 23rd. This will be the third visit of Prime Minister to the kingdom after his previous visits in 2016 and 2019. The visit follows the state visit of Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to New Delhi in September 2023 to attend the G20 summit and co-chair the first meeting of the India-Saudi Arabia Strategic Partnership Council. The visit of Prime Minister Modi reflects the importance India attaches to its bilateral relationship with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It will provide an opportunity to further deepen and strengthen a multifaceted partnership as well as to exchange views on various regional and international issues of mutual interest. India and Saudi Arabia share close and friendly ties with a long history of socio-cultural and trade contacts. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, in a special briefing held by the Ministry of External Affairs on Saturday, highlighted the significance of the upcoming trip and reaffirmed the strong trajectory of India-Saudi Arabia ties.
The Honorable Prime Minister will be paying a visit to Saudi Arabia next week on 22nd and 23rd of April 2025. The upcoming visit will be Prime Minister's third visit in this capacity to Saudi Arabia. He has visited earlier in 2016 and 2019. In 2016, during his first visit, the Prime Minister was conferred the kingdom's highest civilian honor, the King Abdulaziz Sash. During Prime Minister's second visit, the two countries signed the agreement on establishing the Strategic Partnership Council, which is a high-level council at the summit level to steer relations between the two countries. And the upcoming visit will be an opportunity to hold the second summit-level meeting of this Strategic Partnership Council.
A prominent Hindu community leader in Bangladesh, Bhabesh Chandra Roy, was allegedly abducted from his home and beaten to death in Dinajpur district, around 330 kilometers from Dhaka, according to police and family members. The deceased leader was the vice president of the Biral unit of the Bangladesh Puja Ujjapan Parishad and was a prominent leader of the Hindu community in the area. According to his wife, Bhabesh was at home in the afternoon when he received a phone call and claimed the call was made by perpetrators to confirm his presence at home. Roy was unconscious when he was sent back home and family members rushed him to a hospital in Dinajpur. However, he was declared dead upon arrival. This is yet another incident of violence against minorities in Bangladesh. India on Saturday reacted strongly to the kidnapping and killing of a Hindu leader in Bangladesh, calling upon Mohammed Yunus-led interim government to live up to its responsibility of protecting all minorities, including Hindus. India's Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said, and I quote, "This killing follows a pattern of systematic persecution of Hindu minorities under the interim government, even as the perpetrators of previous such events roam with impunity. We condemn this incident and once again remind the interim government to live up to its responsibility of protecting all minorities, including Hindus, without inventing excuses or making distinctions." Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk on Saturday said it was an honor to speak with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and is looking forward to visiting India later this year. The tech billionaire's remarks came a day after he and Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke and discussed the immense potential for collaboration in technology and innovation. The development comes ahead of US Vice President J.D. Vance's 4-day trip to India beginning 21st of April. The two sides will also exchange views on regional and global developments of mutual interest. Bhutan's King Jigme Khesa Namgyal Wangchuk visited the under-construction International Multimodal Logistics Park in Jogigopa, located in Assam's Bongaigaon district. The visit marks a significant diplomatic and economic gesture, reflecting the growing regional cooperation between Bhutan and India, especially in trade and connectivity. The logistics park is being developed as the country's first international multimodal logistics hub. The project is expected to play a transformative role in enhancing trade infrastructure and boosting economic ties with the neighboring countries like Bhutan and Bangladesh. Following the site inspection, the king also toured the inland water transport port located nearby. Shifting focus, Iran and the United States are holding high-stakes second round of negotiations in Rome over Tehran's rapidly advancing nuclear program. Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, and Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi are negotiating indirectly through mediators from Oman, a week after the first round in Muscat that both sides described as constructive. Trump has imposed new sanctions on Iran as part of his maximum pressure campaign targeting the country. He has repeatedly suggested military action against Iran remained a possibility, while emphasizing he still believed a new deal could be reached by writing a letter to Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei to jumpstart these talks. Khamenei has warned Iran would respond to any attack with an attack of its own. Araghchi arrived this morning in Rome to attend the second round of the talks, on the eve of which he said Iran believes reaching an agreement on its nuclear program with the US is possible as long as Washington is realistic.
We are only engaged in indirect talks with the US side, and the reason for this is clear. Because of the threats by the US administration, because of the economic pressure by the US administration, and because of the maximum pressure regime that has been imposed on us. We cannot enter into direct negotiations with them. We have seen a certain level of seriousness in the first round of talks, and if they are ready to discuss the nuclear issue without involving other matters, then we can progress further towards a constructive dialogue.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has asserted that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, warning Iran of potential military action if no deal is reached.
I'm for stopping Iran, very simply, from having a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. I want Iran to be great and prosperous and terrific. I stopped them once they were broke and they didn't have any money for Hamas. They didn't have any money for Hezbollah. There wouldn't have been an October 7th disaster. They were broke. They had no money, and they weren't spending it to terrorist organizations because they had none.
Iran has time and again reiterated that their nuclear program is peaceful, but the West says is aimed at building an atomic bomb. And also, the US military will consolidate its presence in Syria over the coming weeks and months in a move that could reduce the number of troops it has in the country by half. The US military has about 2,000 US troops in Syria across a number of bases, mostly in the northeast. The troops are working with local forces to prevent a resurgence of Islamic State, which in 2014 seized large swathes of Iraq and Syria, but was later pushed back. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell said the troops would be consolidated at unspecified sites in a deliberate and conditions-based process. For now, US Central Command will remain poised to continue strikes against what is left of ISIS in Syria and work with coalition partners to keep pressure on ISIS and respond to any other terrorist threats. Israeli airstrikes struck approximately 40 Hamas targets across the Gaza Strip in the past 24 hours, following Hamas's rejection of a ceasefire proposal that it said failed to meet its demand for a complete end to the conflict. Israeli forces have now seized about a third of Gaza, advancing from both north and south. Defense Minister Israel Katz reiterated that disarming Hamas and freeing hostages remain key objectives. Hamas's chief Khalil al-Hayya rejected Israel's offer, calling its conditions impossible, though he offered to exchange all 59 remaining hostages for Palestinian prisoners and a full cessation of conflict. Egyptian mediated ceasefire efforts continue, but little progress has been made. Ahead of the talks, Iran's Arakchi met Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Moscow. Later in a joint press conference, Lavrov said that Russia is ready to assist in any way acceptable to both Tehran and Washington.
We are ready to help and mediate, to play any role that will be helpful from the Iranian point of view and acceptable for the United States. We proceed from the fact that the only way to get an agreement, as the minister has just said, is to agree exclusively on nuclear issues.
Update on Russia-Ukraine peace deal now, on which the United States has said that it will walk away from efforts to broker a deal unless there are clear signs of progress soon. Donald Trump said on Friday that the US will take a pass on trying to resolve the conflict if either of the two sides make it too difficult to end.
If for some reason one of the two parties makes it very difficult, we're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass. But hopefully we won't have to do that. No, Marco is right in saying it. We want to see it end.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, speaking earlier in Paris after meeting European and Ukrainian leaders, echoed similar sentiments, saying that the sides had just days to show progress or Washington would abandon its efforts. While Kremlin on its part said on Friday that some progress had already been made in talks about a possible peace settlement to end the war in Ukraine, but that contacts were rather complicated with the United States. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov stressed that Russia is committed to resolving this conflict, ensuring its own interests, and is open to dialogue. Shifting focus to the US, where the Supreme Court early on Saturday ordered the Trump administration to temporarily halt the deportation of Venezuelan men in immigration custody. The order came after their lawyers said they were at imminent risk of removal without a judicial review previously mandated by the justices. Earlier on Friday, the top court had denied requests to block the Trump administration's move. The dispute centers on dozens of Venezuelans held at the Blue Bonnet detention facility in Anson, Texas. Lawyers for the American Civil Liberties Union filed urgent requests on Friday in multiple courts, including the Supreme Court, urging immediate action after reporting that some of the men had already been loaded onto buses and were told they were to be deported. Elected last year on a promise to crack down on migrants, Donald Trump invoked the 1798 Alien Enemies Act in an attempt to swiftly deport accused members of Tren de Aragua, a criminal gang originating from Venezuelan prisons that his administration labels a terrorist group. Meanwhile, in an update regarding the issue of the Salvadoran man mistakenly deported and being held in prison in El Salvador, Democratic U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen met with Kilmar Abrego Garcia at a hotel after initial requests to meet with him were denied. The U.S. Supreme Court has directed the administration of President Donald Trump to facilitate Garcia's return after Washington acknowledged he was deported because of an administrative error.
That people understand this case is not just about one man. It's about protecting the constitutional rights of everybody who resides in the United States of America. Now, the Trump administration wants to flat out lie about what this case is about. They want to change the subject. They want to make it about something else. And they are flouting the orders from the Federal District Court, the Fourth Circuit Court, and the Supreme Court to facilitate his return.
Abrego Garcia's lawyers said that he has never been charged with nor convicted of any crime and deny the Justice Department's accusation that he belongs to the criminal gang MS-13. But the government has given no indication it plans to seek his return and said it had no authority to release a man from a foreign prison, raising the potential for a constitutional conflict should Trump defy the highest court. At least 148 people died and dozens more went missing after a boat carrying fuel caught fire and capsized in northwest of Democratic Republic of Congo. Hundreds of passengers were crowded onto wooden boat on Congo River near Mbandaka, capital of Equatorial Province, on Tuesday, when an explosion caused by a cooking fire ignited a larger blaze. The disaster occurred at the confluence of the Ruki and the vast Congo River, the world's deepest. A vast Central African nation that covers 2.3 million square kilometers, the DRC suffers from a lack of practicable roads, and planes serve only a limited number of cities and towns. As a result, people often travel on lakes, the Congo River, the second longest in Africa after the Nile, and its winding tributaries where shipwrecks are frequent and the death tolls often heavy. Let's take a look at what else is making news around the world. A harrowing scene unfolded across eastern Nebraska in the United States as ferocious winds churned up dust and large debris smashed through the windows of a hotel, homes and cars. According to the National Weather Service, regions were hit with hail and strong winds of over 128 kilometers per hour. Men and women ride horses and showcase their skills during a traditional horse festival in the city of Al-Midhatiya in Iraq's Babylon. The Western Hamza Horsemen Association organized its annual festival for the 12th year. This year, more than 200 horses were participating in the festival. In fact, participating in this particular festival. Thousands of runners were joined by 21 humanoid robots at the Yizhuang Half Marathon in Beijing on Saturday. This was the first time these machines raced alongside humans over 21 kilometers course. The robots were accompanied by human trainers, some of whom had to physically support the machines during the race. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India observes World Liver Day with a special event themed Healthy Liver, Healthy India. And 50 years since India launched Aryabhat, its first satellite, marking a giant leap in space exploration. Interview of former ISRO chief ahead.
Nature gives and we take, and sometimes a little too much. But what happens when this balance tips and who is the most impacted? Let's take a look at some of the solutions that are trying to help these communities.
We want to encourage people to consume more local products. These were caught in environmentally friendly nets, not farmed. That makes a huge difference.
Project Tangaroa. It's working to build a global framework that can help identify which wrecks need to be taken care of first and find the funding for cleanup missions.
We use SLR organic fertilizer for our plants. With organic fertilizer, the yield is better and the soil's health improves.
You're watching DD India Live. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. World Liver Day is being observed today to highlight the importance of liver care and early detection of liver disorders. On the occasion, the Institute of Liver and Biliary Sciences in Delhi organized a special event themed Healthy Liver, Healthy India. The program raised awareness about liver-related diseases and promoted liver health among the public. Union Home Minister and Minister of Cooperation Amit Shah graced the event as the chief guest.
मोदी जी ने देश के सामने लक्ष्य रखा है 2047 में विकसित भारत की रचना करना, जो हर क्षेत्र में आत्मनिर्भर हो और हर क्षेत्र में विश्व का नेतृत्व करता हो। मगर विकसित भारत की संकल्पना बीमारों की फौज के साथ नहीं हो सकती। इसके लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि हर नागरिक को स्वस्थ रहना चाहिए। सरकार ने होलिस्टिक व्यू के साथ इस पर बहुत काम किया है।
Also in attendance were Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena, Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta.
पूरे देश से, पूरे विश्व से लोग यहाँ आते हैं कि उन्हें अच्छा और बेहतर इलाज मिल सके। तो ये हमारी और भी बड़ी जिम्मेदारी बन जाती है कि हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की फील्ड में हम अपने अस्पतालों को और अधिक मजबूत करें, यहाँ टेक्नोलॉजीज़ को और अधिक अपग्रेडेड करें और हेल्थ सेक्टर में हर वो संभव प्रयास करें जो हमारे देश के नागरिकों के लिए ज़रूरी है।
In India's eastern state of West Bengal, Governor C.V. Ananda Bose visited the violence-affected areas in Murshidabad district on Saturday to assess the situation and engage with those impacted. Assuring proactive action, Bose said that he had a detailed discussion with the victims in the camp where they have been staying as a temporary arrangement. He also assured that appropriate action will be taken against those responsible.
Certainly some other demands or whatever suggestions given by them, all these will be considered. I will take it up with the Government of India and the state government for appropriate action. I will follow it up. All their complaints I will listen to. I will analyze it. We have all our sympathetic understanding of what they want. We will do all our best to see that they get justice.
Governor Bose also reviewed the situation and met the victims in the affected region on Friday. Aryabhat, India's first satellite, was launched on April 19, 1975 from Russia. Celebrating its 50th anniversary, former chairman of Indian Space Research Organization S. Somanath joined school children in Delhi on Saturday. The students impressed him with their innovative space models, reflecting on India's progress in space technology. Somnath highlighted the bright future for ISRO, especially with increased private sector participation. DD India's correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya speaks with the former ISRO chief.
Joining me is former ISRO chairman S. Somnath to talk about the 50 years of Aryabhata launch, sir. From then to now, it's a huge journey, and under you we have scaled higher, echelons. Tell us, how do you feel looking at these models about Aryabhata satellite and all the journey that you have seen over the years?
Of course, it's a story of a lot of sacrifice and hard work, a generation of people, starting with Prasar Bharati, who started the Aryabhata program, who was the project director at that time, and also the vision of Satish Dhawan to create that infrastructure to build the satellites. But then soon followed was the technology upgradation from Aryabhata to the current levels of building heavier satellites. Today we know how to build bigger communication satellites weighing as much as 6 tons. We also have the ability to build observation satellites with high resolutions, sub-meter resolutions, radar satellites, timing and navigation satellites, and scientific satellites to go to Moon, Mars and others. So it's really a great journey in the last 50 years.
There was a time when India was not considered among the top, but now every nation wants to come and collaborate with India and ISRO when it comes to space missions.
For us, it's working on equal terms, because we have a strategic capability today in building and launching satellites from India, which is really a huge strength for a nation. And we would like to collaborate also. It's not for isolation, it's actually for collaboration, because space is for the entire humanity. But it also has its national connotations where we look at security and strategic aspect, as well as natural resource mapping and commerce and business as well. So all these are covered under the capability that we are doing today. And I am also happy that now private entrepreneurs have come to build this, not just ISRO alone, into designing and developing satellites and launching them and operate on a commercial basis. It's a great thing to happen in the last few years.
Right. Much appreciated. So that was the former ISRO chairman saying that India is scaling new heights, and in due course of time we will see much more from ISRO. With Kabul Naked, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for GD India from Delhi.
In a move towards empowering the remote border villages, the Indian Army has facilitated unprecedented mobile connectivity across the remote and high-altitude areas of Ladakh. Troops deployed in some of the world's most inhospitable terrains now have access to reliable 4G and 5G mobile connectivity. The installation of multiple mobile towers on Army infrastructure, including 4 key towers in Ladakh and Kargil districts alone, has proved to be a major morale booster for soldiers serving in isolated winter cut-off posts. It is a collaborative approach by the Indian Army and telecom service providers along with the UT administration of Ladakh. A particularly historic milestone was the successful installation of a 5G mobile tower on the Siachen Glacier, which is the highest battlefield in the world and showcases India's technological prowess and resolve. The initiative also echoes the spirit of Viksit Bharat India at 2047. Updates from the sports world now. Rajasthan Royals will host Lucknow Super Giants in the Indian Premier League match in Jaipur on Saturday. The Rajasthan Royals desperately need to win as they have only won 2 of their last 7 games, which put them in 8th place in the IPL rankings. Nitish Rana, Jofra Archer and Yashasvi Jaiswal are the host key players, while captain Sanju Samson is doubtful for the match. On the other hand, the LSG have proven to be one of the most formidable teams in fact this season, and they have won 4 of their 7 games. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.